What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Sixers Digest YouTube channel. Today we have some more clarity on the Jrue Holiday outlook on how the Sixers could be involved in the potential sweepstakes and why this just might be the trade that they're looking for or the deal they're looking for or things to just finally break in the Sixers direction. So I'm here to take you through the latest reports with that, break down how this impacts the Sixers, how I feel his fit is on the team as a whole, and overall go through the story. Now, before I dive fully into it, I do want to make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button. We did just reach that 1,000 mark, which I'm stoked about, but there's still over 90% of you guys watching this video that are not subscribing. So to make sure to hit that button, ring that bell. The season is right around the corner. The madness of media day is going down on Monday, and I'm going to be on top of every part of it. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in for now, and we got plenty more on the way. So to dive into the Jrue Holiday stuff specifically, I know I was on here yesterday speaking about the Dame Lillard trade, which finally happened, and it feels like the NBA world hit play again after months and months of just waiting for a conclusion to this. But there is still plenty more to be determined, as a lot of the main players in the Dame Lillard sweepstakes, such as the Miami Heat, are not involved. And also, the package that they got in return for Damian Lillard was not quite the real rebuilding package that we all imagined. Really, the gamble that was taken by the Portland Trailblazers is that they're getting back whatever their eventual return is for Jrue Holiday rather than getting it back immediately in this Dame Lillard trade. Now, that does make sense as far as get Dame out of here, get a conclusion to this situation, and there's also a fair argument at this point in time based on all the contention, all the whispers, all the reports that maybe you can get a better price in return for Jrue Holiday than was the case for Dame Lillard. Based on what they got for Lillard, which essentially boils down to one first-round pick, DeAndre Ayton, and a couple other pieces around the edges, I think that could happen because Jrue Holiday is the type of guy that is a fit on any contending team, including the Sixers. Now, to dive into the report specifically, I'll begin by this blurb from Jake Fisher. I know I read this as well yesterday, but I do think it's even more fitting now. And it says from Fisher of Yahoo Sports, quote, "Perhaps Holiday entering the trade market presents more flexibility for the Sixers and James Harden. Philadelphia has indeed registered its interest in Holiday with Portland," league sources told Yahoo Sports. And there would seem to be an obvious three-team structure that benefits Portland, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles, where Holiday returns to the franchise that drafted him, Harden gets his wish and joins the Clippers, and the Blazers receive first-round picks from each team. Los Angeles has not been willing to offer more than one selection to Philadelphia for Harden, sources said. The Clippers have also not been willing to include versatile swingman Terrence Mann. But if the Sixers and Daryl Morey could spin a potential holdout with Harden into a motivated Holiday for the cost of one of Philadelphia's future picks and Harden's $35.6 million salary, that would bill as fantastic value for all parties involved. But then maybe the Clippers abandon all pursuit of Harden and go after Holiday in their outright. So to start with, I think the fantastic value is a little bit of a strong word there. I wouldn't say if you just purely look at this as a James Harden for Jrue Holiday swap, that's an awesome move for the Sixers. Now, are we sick of James Harden, and do I believe there's no chance that the Sixers win a championship with James Harden? Yes. So I think it does make sense to do this deal from that perspective. But if you just want to look at this as a value standpoint, I don't know if that's quite the framework I would say. Now, what we do know in another report that was dropped today, shout out to Philly Sixers Galaxy for tweeting this out. This did come from a Miami reporter originally, but it says, quote, "League sources told the Miami Herald on Thursday that the Heat, Clippers, Lakers, Celtics, Bulls, and 76ers are destinations that appeal to Holiday." So the Sixers are in the mix from Holiday's point of view. The Warriors are also a team that have come up. That is probably the nightmare situation for me. The last thing that I want to see, they already have Chris Paul. They already basically have 6 starters, and to bring Jrue Holiday on that mix, to me, would just be insane and unfair. Not unfair because, the roster construction is roster construction, but his talents could be better suited elsewhere, like a place like the Sixers. Now, I do think the framework that Fisher laid out when speaking about that 3-team deal with the Trailblazers, with the Sixers, with the Clippers makes a lot of sense. To me, the biggest question is, what is the Trailblazers' mindset from here? It was very clear it was time to move on from Damian Lillard, that had run its course. It was time for both sides to move on, and they already have the next generation in fold. Scoot Henderson is the real deal. This guy is awesome. This kid is going to be a blast to watch this year. And not only that, they have players like Shaedon Sharpe in the mix. They have guys like Anthony Simons who can truly hoop. They are now kind of a part of the reclamation project of DeAndre Ayton to see if this 25-year-old former number 1 overall pick can wipe whatever, sourness is left in Phoenix and see what happens from there. There's never been a question about DeAndre Ayton's talent. It's always been his work ethic, his will, and overall personality. Maybe a clean slate, a new situation, and things change, and he could, take his game to new levels. So when you look at Portland's roster as it's currently constructed, They're far from a contender, but they're also not a team that's going to be at the top of the lottery odds. They're not going to be having another top 3 pick this year. They find themselves somewhere in the middle. So what is their outlook this year? Do they try and get better? Do they try and get in the playoff mix, maybe be a low seed and grow from there? That would make them more prone to taking a deal like this 3-team deal with the Clippers. That's speaking to guys like maybe Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Norman Powell, Nick Batum. Names like that are the types of names that I believe would be moved from the Clippers to the Trailblazers in exchange for this. Now, the problem with all of this is the Clippers have to want James Harden more than they want Jrue Holiday. And I honestly think I can't guarantee that when you think of what makes sense for the Clippers, they already have Kawhi and Paul George. Jrue Holiday is a guy that fits on any team, and that's one of the biggest things that I want to circle back to. First off, I want to just bring up the odds for his next team. These are per betonline.ag or _AG. The Celtics are the favorite at 5-2. Heat are next at 3-1. Raptors at 4-1. Clippers at 5-1. Warriors at 11-2. Sixers at 13-2. Bulls at 7-1. And Jazz at 10-1. Now, I'll start by saying these aren't always the most obvious odds, especially when it's player movement. It's really hard to handicap these situations. This comes down to what a general manager's decision is. You're trying to predict human emotion and human decisions. This is far different than handicapping a sports game and saying the Sixers will be 3-point favorites in this matchup. Much different. So I wouldn't take those as literal as I guess you might for another sports betting line, but still an interesting point to reference. The Celtics is scary. The Celtics being the number one on this is a frightening thought. I don't think there's much legitimacy to that. I think their cap issues are far deeper than possible. I know they just gave up Marcus Smart, and it would be an upgrade to go from Marcus Smart to Jrue Holiday. I'm honestly really surprised, and from a Sixers perspective, I'm very happy that Marcus Smart is no longer on the Celtics. But from the Celtics perspective, that guy was the heart and soul of their team. So they're going to be missing that this year. And part of that is by design because they want other guys to step up like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But they're going to be missing a whole lot of emotion, a whole lot of heart, and a lot of what made that team tick. So they might be looking to replace that with a Jrue Holiday potential deal. And the team that jumps out to me and continues to is the Miami Heat. And why is that? Because they lost Max Strus. They lost Gabe Vincent. Those guys are gone. Max Strus is in Cleveland. Gabe Vincent is in Los Angeles. He's playing for the Lakers. They're not coming back. And the Heat have yet to replace them. So while Tyler Hero can flex online that he has not been traded and that I will buy into a little bit of the Tyler Hero revenge tour. Not that I think he's amazing. He absolutely has his flaws as a basketball player. But I will say the public perception of Tyler Hero has swung far more negative than he deserves to be at this point in time. But he can't do it alone. Jimmy Butler can't do it alone. Bam Adebayo can't do it alone. So what does the rest of this roster look like? As much as they put a strong public face about them not being that invested with Dame, that they don't care either way, whatever happens, well, now you didn't get the guy. So now you got to figure out what is next. And Jrue Holiday is a logical next option on that. He's a guy that feels built for Heat culture, would thrive under that location. Now let's look a little bit at Jrue Holiday specifically, who he is as a player, his numbers. The Sixers are obviously very familiar with him. He spent the first 4 years of his career with him, including the 2012-13 season where he secured his first All-Star appearance, one of 2 All-Star appearances in his career. In that final year, and this was what started the process as a whole, was shipping off Jrue Holiday for the trade that eventually became Nerlens Noel on draft night. But in that final year, Holiday for the Sixers averaged 17.7 points, 8.0 assists, 4.2 rebounds, 1.6 steals. He also was a very efficient, shot 37% from 3, shot 43% from the field. Pretty solid overall numbers. He did it on both sides of the floor. What hypes me up the most about a potential Jrue Holiday reunion to Philadelphia, number one is just the full circle moment of him coming back and contributing on this same team. Number two, he is a tailor-made partner for Tyrese Maxey. If you think about what is the ideal player to pair Tyrese Maxey with, it is Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is a defensive-minded guard, a guy that can guard bigger than his frame. He's capable as a guy that can run an offense when necessary, be the primary playmaker when asked to be. And he's also a guy comfortable off the catch and shoot. He can create his own shot in bursts. He is perfect as a complement to Tyrese Maxey. Now, my biggest fear is, and in all of this is not just this move specifically. This is more the overarching theme as James Harden forces himself out. But this all comes down to what kind of leap is Tyrese Maxey ready to make? Because in all of this, even in this situation, if Jrue Holiday comes into the Sixers and is the third piece of the unit of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Jrue Holiday, Jrue Holiday was a perfect fit for the Milwaukee Bucks by bringing him in to be that third guy along Giannis and Chris Middleton. Is Tyrese Maxey to be ready to be a Chris Middleton-like contributor? And that's maybe a little disrespectful. I think you can make the argument that Tyrese Maxey is a better player than Chris Middleton. I think that's fair. But as far as getting it done in the postseason, taking those big shots, getting those hard-to-manage shots, those in the mid-range with the shot clock winding down, that is more what is going to be thrown on Tyrese Maxey's shoulders this year. So I do think Holiday is a perfect fit as far as a third guy for that. But I guess I just keep circling back to this depends on Tyrese Maxey is ready to take that leap. So while in theory, I do think it is awesome if Jrue Holiday could come to Philadelphia, could be the reunion, there are a lot of pieces that still have to unfold here. It sounds like this is evolving fast, that the trade talks are pretty constant and pretty rapid, and each team is trying to get this done as soon as possible. So we will see what happens from here. Daryl Morey better be on the phone. Daryl Morey better be trying to figure things out. But we will see. There is still a lot to be determined. It does feel like the madness of the offseason is now in full swing. As I mentioned, the rest of the NBA hit that play button right when the Dame Lillard trade was completed. So now the Sixers got to step up and get to the plate. James Harden is now the newest toy that can be dangled. He's now a much more appealing option now that Dame Lillard, who was regarded in higher light, is off the table. James Harden's the next guy up. There's plenty of teams that need to make a deal. Let's get moving, Daryl Morey, and make this happen. So we'll see what happens from here. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in and watching this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you're not missing out on any content. And I cannot wait that Sixers season is finally here. Peace, guys.